Hello everybody, Marco Severino here from Flow Design Architects. This video we're going to continue to talk about buying properties and major things that you need to consider while trying to develop either an existing empty lot or an existing property, whichever you're trying to do. So in this case, we're going to focus deeply in the concept of developing an existing property, and we're going to focus in residential properties. So if you haven't followed us in Instagram on our YouTube channel, feel free, please make sure to subscribe. That help us kind of move forward and other people to kind of get a sense of what we're doing here, which is literally just trying to teach the community things that we as designers and architects encounter every day in our field, and help the community kind of move forward whenever they are trying to develop an existing property. So in the last video we talked briefly in a deeply matter on trying to develop an existing empty lot, and we focus in the concept of setbacks, FAR, and zoning district, and how that can influence what you are trying to do within that law. Today we're going to focus in when you are trying to develop an existing property. So let's say you look at around your neighborhood and then you see a house that needs a little bit of work and they put it in the market. That's an existing property. There's a house located in that particular law. You're not trying to develop a piece of law that is empty. In this case, you are trying to develop an existing residential house that you see either a two-family or a one-family. So let's say you see that property and you're trying to develop it. What are some things that you, as the investor or whoever is trying to buy this property, should look at prior to even buying the property, or when you go and do the open house? What are some things that you as the person who's trying to invest should focus on? And I always tell clients, like, try to make investments, try to be logical when you do investments. Don't feel emotional about a certain location. Like, be a little bit more critical when you're trying to invest somewhere. So if you are trying to invest in Somerville or Salem or Boston or anywhere in United States, try to not only focus in the emotion, don't focus so much in the emotional aspect, like, oh my God, this house is beautiful, but be more critical in the elements that you need to you need to pay attention to. So, which is the reason why we're trying to create this video. Now, when you're trying to develop an existing house, major elements that you need to consider is zoning district. If you don't know the concept of zoning district, just go back into our YouTube channel. There is a video that I went very deep into what that means. Now, why is it important for you to understand the concept of zoning district when you are trying to develop an existing property, residential home? Because there is something called the way that the city should divide the areas. You could be in a district that is R1, single family, or you could be in a district where it is R2, two family, or you can be in a district where it is multifamily or commercial. If you understand that concept, you as an investor or somebody who is trying to develop an existing house could take advantage of this concept, because if you are, for example, in a, let's say, C district or commercial district, and you have a single family, what that means is, by right, you can turn that single family into a commercial space, or you can turn that single family into a multifamily. Now, you need to make sure you look into your zoning district so you get a sense of, like, okay, If I am in a commercial district and I own or I'm trying to buy a single family, as an investor, you can be smart and say, you know what? I can turn that single family into a two family and I can do it by right. I don't have to go through a special permit or another layer of permitting in order to convert that single family into a multifamily. And you can get different incomes. Imagine if you invest on a property that is $150,000, and it's a single family. Let's say you realize that you are in a commercial district, and let's say, you know what, I can invest, $100,000 to do a small addition that I could not only have a single family, but also have, let's say, a barber shop in there, or I could have like another family. Now you invest those $100,000 and then you can rent that commercial space and then you can make some extra income, so that's the importance of understanding where you are located into your zoning district and how that relates to the investment that you're trying to accomplish or you are trying to do. So now that you understand the zoning district of the house that you're trying to develop, major thing you need to understand is what type of building it is. Is it a single family? Is it a two family? Or is it a three family or multifamily? It's important to know that we as designers and architects here at Flow, we pay close attention of that, of what kind of type of building it is. Why? Because if you are if the house that you're looking at is single family or two family, it's very different than if it is a three family. So basically the code says like after two family, any building that is more than two families becomes a multifamily, which then goes into commercial spaces. It's no longer into this category of residential. So if you have a two family that you're trying to invest and you're trying to convert it into a three family, now you need to comply with, you need to potentially sprinkle the building. You are doing a major renovation, so it triggers other elements that we are going to discuss in future videos, but it's something that you need to pay attention to. So what type of building it is it one or two family? If it is more than one or two family, then it falls into the commercial category, which it's a different topic, which is why I mention it here in multifamily. So very, very important that you understand that concept. Another concept that I do want to mention in here is when you're trying to develop an existing property is the building levels. How many floors I have within this unit or this property. And it's good to know that, or well, you will be able to tell because you can tell if it is a one level, two levels, 2.5 levels. Because if you know in which district you are, and you know your setbacks and FAR and those requirements, then if you have a 1.5 story home, single family, and let's say you are in a R2 or residential 2 district, 2 family, you could potentially turn the first floor into a 1 unit and convert and raise and do an addition and do a second floor and add another unit. You can do that by right if you know your limitations and where you are located within your zoning district. So those are things that you need to think about, so which is why I wanted to mention the topic of understanding your levels. Another thing is that a lot of people are finishing their basements sometimes in the past, basements were never thought to be what they are now. Nowadays, I see a lot of clients and I meet with them and they turn their basements to be this awesome family room with TV area and things like that. So there is an opportunity there in your levels and how you utilize these spaces for the benefit of your family. So that's the most important thing. Another aspect that you should pay attention when you're trying to develop an existing residential unit is the equipment, the existing equipment, where your electrical panels are located, HVAC units, your furnace, where is your oil tank. Pay attention to these things because they are very important when you are trying to develop a residential. We see a lot in what we do, people that are trying to turn their two families into condos, condominiums, so that they can sell the units individually. And one of those major things is making sure that each unit have their HVAC and equipment area separate. It's very important that you understand that concept. And if you're trying to convert a two-family into a condominium and try to sell it individually, you need to pay attention where your mechanical is, where your electricals are. That way it becomes easier in the renovation to kind of like subdivide these elements. They can be together in a common mechanical area, and we see that all the time to kind of reduce costs. But if you pay attention where these things are and you're trying to do a renovation of that existing property, you could logistically try to design it in a way that those mechanical areas are subdivided for each unit, which is gonna save and it's gonna be better for whoever is gonna try to buy this property. So it's gonna add another value to your property. So now that we talk about equipment areas and electrical panels, make sure you walk around the property, make sure you understand, is my roof leaking, like those things, make sure you understand that. Another element I do want to mention, here in Massachusetts, more prominent, and I know that in New York that happens to major cities, you need to pay attention to these elements. But the concept of smoke detectors, are your smoke detectors wire? Are they wire? If you don't know what the concept of smoke detectors being wire or battery operated, the difference is that the battery operated, if there is a fire, only that element gets triggered by the fire. So you will hear the noise of only that smoke detector. But if they are wired throughout the house, if there is a fire, let's say here in the conference room, everybody at the office will be able to hear because it connects with the other ones in all of the other rooms too. So in Massachusetts, if you are trying to renovate an existing property and you realize like, oh my God, they are wire smoke detectors. If you are renovating an existing home, most likely you will need to wire the smoke detectors throughout the entire house, which is going to add a cost. And I want to make sure that we are responsible to let our clients know, like, hey, if you're trying to renovate this floor, right now your smoke detectors are just battery operated. Like, they will have to be upgraded to be wired. And those are things that if you don't know it, then you don't know how to plan for it in the future. So, which is why we are creating this video, so people can get the knowledge that they need if they are trying to develop an existing property. Very, very, very important that you pay attention to all of these elements when you are trying to invest on an existing property. Also, the concept of fire separation. And the reason why I wanted to bring up this topic is because if you have a two-family, let's say you have a single family. So let's say you have a single family. So this is your floor, right? And you decide to renovate and add a second floor. And of course, you need to do your stairs in order for the tenants to go into the second floor. It's important that you understand the concept of fire separation. The code specifies that each unit needs to be independent. So if there is a fire on the first floor, that fire cannot transfer to the second floor unit. So if you're trying to renovate an existing property and you realize that, hey, right now my entire shell, it's demo, you need to create a layer of fire separation between each unit to be able to make your building safe for your tenants and for the people or for yourself, or whoever is going to be utilizing the space. So if you, let's say, you buy a single family home and you are in let's say in a R2 or two family, and you want to convert your single family into a two family, let's say you have your stairs here. Those are stairs, and these ones at the back are stairs. You need to make sure that this, I'm gonna use a different color so you are able to understand that. These stairs become almost like a common area, like an area that, let's say you have a door that access to your unit, and then you have stairs that go up. These stairs become a common area for both units. So we as designers and you as the owner should understand the concept of fire separation. So which means that we need to create a fire separation for that stairs. So if there is a fire here in this unit, people are able to exit the building safely and give them enough time so this area is a little bit more protected. It's not that it's not gonna burn. The code specify, let's say, in these areas, let's say it's a 1 hour rated wall. And I can go more into detail later on. But let's say it's a 1 hour rated wall. What that means is that if there's a fire here, it will most likely take an hour for that wall to burn completely. And so if you are here somewhere, you have potentially an hour to be able to exit that building safely and get to this point where you are a little bit more safe. That's what that means. That doesn't mean that it's not going to burn, because it will burn. But it gives you a little bit more time for people to exit the building safely. So now that you create these stairs, now that stair need to create a fire rated separation, because this is unit 1. Let's say this is unit 1. Unit 1. Now, and those areas are common areas. Now, if you build a second floor to this unit 1, if I do a little section, let's say, this is your ground and this is your little house. Let's say unit 1 is on the first floor and unit 2 is on the second floor. You're trying to renovate this existing house. It's only one level, but you wanted to do one addition. You also need to, based on the concept of fire separation, you also need to address the fire separation horizontally in between the floors. So this floor must be a fire rated floor, because if there's a fire that happens here in this unit, you are giving people an hour or so, depending on what kind of building type it is and that kind of thing. The code indicates if it is 1 hour, 2 hour fire separation in between the two. But you need to understand that concept, because it affects your investment, like how much money you're going to spend on materials for this, and also increases your knowledge into these kind of topics. So it's very important that you understand this. So in the future, if you try to convert from a single family to a two family to duplicate your investment, then you are aware of what are those major elements that you should consider and think about. So this is it for this video. If this video was helpful for you, Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell thing to kind of help you and give you notifications whenever we upload any new videos. So once again, thank you so much, and we will see you until the next one.